Well, let me be clear, my stomach turned over when I saw neo-Nazis breaking into what was my office in Jerusalem shortly before it was demolished. This is vandalism worthy of the Nazis, the UN's Kristallnacht, state-sponsored terrorism against a UN humanitarian agency in violation of the UN Charter, in violation of international law. UNRWA is a vital lifeline to 6 million Palestine refugees, more than 6 million, across the Middle East, in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Jordan, Syria and Lebanon. And this Israeli onslaught against the agency, which I have to say the donors have sat back and allowed to happen, has put at fatal risk those life-saving services. So that's what is at stake here. The services to millions of the most marginalised and vulnerable people in the Middle East, in its attack on them, their identity and their status as refugees. But make no mistake, you cannot simply demolish the agency charged by the international community to serve these people and expect them to go out of existence. Yes, there's a genocide going on, but these people remain a people with rights, and it's a disgrace that the international community has sat back and allowed this to happen. Well, let me be clear, my stomach turned over when I saw neo-Nazis breaking into what was my office in Jerusalem shortly before it was demolished. This is vandalism worthy of the Nazis, the UN's Kristallnacht, state-sponsored terrorism against a UN humanitarian agency in violation of the UN Charter, in violation of international law. It's part of Israel's ongoing genocide against the Palestinian people, and I call on the General Assembly to expel Israel, just as the General Assembly expelled apartheid South Africa in 1974. But to be clear, my heart goes out to the hundreds of thousands of vulnerable and marginalised Palestinians living under the fascist realities of Israeli occupation and who desperately need UNRWA services, the health centres, the schools, which Israel is destroying and strangling by cutting off water and electricity. My heart goes out to the hundreds of students, for example, at UNRWA's vocational training centre in Jerusalem, where people were being taught a trade. They were being prepared to enter the workforce, and now they face a life of aid dependency while UNRWA destroys the agency charged with bringing them aid. Let's be clear, the international community must not just expel Israel from the General Assembly, it must impose punishing and punitive sanctions until Israel abides by its obligations under the UN Charter and under international law. Where is the outrage? Where is the donor community? Where are the British diplomats, the European officials in their Armani suits and Gucci loafers, the slick Swiss officials? These hypocrites pledge support to UNRWA, but where are they in the agency's hour of need? Where are they now that sanctions need to be imposed against Israel for these flagrant violations? They're nowhere in sight, that's the answer, and it's an utter disgrace. Shame on the donor community who've presided over the demolition of UNRWA.